Welcome to episode 16 of Building My Trike. Here I hold in my hand a mold for the steerer that's going to go here. So it's going to go like that, about there. And that's one half, and I have to 3D print the other half. So what I need to do now is sand it and maybe fill it, but spray it with a clear coat, and then I can start waxing and putting release agent on it to pull at least 2 parts out of. I need 1 for each side, and after that I don't really care if I break it. And I also welded some tie rod ends onto the rods that are gonna push-pull for the steering. Just using some spray adhesive, not the correct type. 3M 7075 is the correct type to use, but this is going to work. I've started to put the spray adhesive down and lay the cloth down to the bike with it wrapped around underneath just a little bit. So on the weekend, which is in a day and a half, I'm going to wet it down with some resin, bag it, and suck a vacuum and finish the bike off. Finish the body of the bike off. So I've got the vacuum pump running here, and the vacuum leading through that door. So that only can be one thing, and that is unbagging the entire bike. So it didn't work out perfectly. The bag was perfectly sized, it fit into all the corners, but we are losing vacuum through one little crack in the carbon where it folded over at the front, and we are not holding a vacuum enough that we can turn the pump off and let it run, let it sit idle for a bit and then turn it back on like 10 minutes later. So I'm running the pump continuous, and I've got the electric blanket on it at the moment, just trying to cook it as fast as possible, because I used slow cure because it took about 2 hours to lay up and wrap the bag and do all that. So I'm just going to peel it back and see that it's all going good. So it's pulling a nice vacuum, good compression. The leak is here somewhere. Don't exactly know where, but you can hear it hissing around here. But that's good because the holes underneath the bike, there's not enough bag to fill the holes and the big channel in between. So having this amount of vacuum with this little leak means I can run the vacuum pump the whole time, and it'll just be constantly pulling air through. It's not going to suck a vacuum completely down. It's the vacuum gauge is broken, so it's probably reading about like 13, maybe 12 at the moment, which is perfect. So it's getting good compression. The resin's wetting out really nice, good penetration, because I've got quite a few layers of carbon here and about 2 layers of carbon on the back of the bike, the back of the seat, the back portion of the seat. So I've got about 2 layers through here, and the rest is like 4 layers on the corner here. So yeah, it's perfectly wetted out, perfect compression, just like absolutely perfect. If I just leave it like this, let the vacuum pump run, it's probably not the best thing to let the vacuum pump run for so many hours continuous. It gets pretty hot, but once it starts to go tacky, I can just turn it off and let it sit there cooking. So in about 1 second of this video, you will see the final product, and I can start assembling the bike and get a rolling chassis again. It's looking really good. The electric blanket has been warming up the front of it, and this is now gone solid. I can tell that by moving this a little bit up here, and that's stiff, that's good. So the front's nice and warm, it's cured. So now I've got the electric blanket shoved up in here because the resin on the inside wasn't as warm as the seat, so it hasn't quite gone off yet. So shove the electric blanket in there, heat it up a little bit, cure it for another 15-20 minutes, maybe half hour. I'll watch the documentary I'm finishing on YouTube, and then I'll come and just turn it all off and just let it sit and cure. The bike is out of the vacuum bag, still a little bit tacky to the point where I can peel the shade cloth off without the resin sticking it to the carbon, which is a perfect timing to do that. I've got the spacer in, so that's pulled in to the exact spacing, and then the resin can cure and hopefully it won't spring out when I take it apart. So all I have to do now is leave it overnight and start assembling in the morning. So in an earlier episode I said that I couldn't get the bearings out of the left hand side wheel bearing housing. Well, I got 2 new ones and I've just got the old ones out, so time to install the new ones. So I just realised that I haven't filmed much this episode, and the last couple of hours I've been really struggling with getting that chain line sorted, and the derailleur just quite wasn't sitting right. I think I figured it out now. The derailleur hanger needs to sit further forward, because when it's straight down, it's catching on the bottom of the bike, which I thought I factored in, but I guess I hadn't. So this week I'd made these little things up. So just wrapped a pipe, 20mm conduit in Teflon tape, and that's a 25mm conduit that I've cut in half, and the inside diameter is 21, and the standard handlebar for a bicycle is 22. So what I did was lay one layer of carbon. It's unidirectional, so one layer of carbon, and then I've done 2 halves of it, and then when I glue it together and I do enough layers over the top of this, wrapping it, that it supports it and makes it strong and stops it from squishing in on itself, it'll come to pretty much smack bang on 22mm, which is perfect because that'll fit all the components that I've got to put on my handlebars. So I printed these, I did that, and finished that off. I can't remember what I said, but right now I think I've got it sorted. I've got like a temporary just friction shifter set up just so I can get the chain line sorted, and I can get the chain length perfect. Down here it's rubbing a little bit, so I'm gonna have to notch that out and take a little bit more out there. Underneath is pretty good, and the gear ratio on that is okay. It'll get me 51 kilometers an hour at 100 RPM in top gear, and it'll get me 12 kilometers an hour at 100 RPM in first gear. So fingers crossed that's okay. But that's it for this week's episode. As you can see, I haven't got much more to go. I've only got the handlebars, the rear mounts, and then I'm going to do like little things, like I'm going to cut like a little notch into this side armrest and then hollow it out and then put like a box on the inside, and then this bit that I cut out I'm going to just put like tabs around the edge and then velcro it back on, and then like my foam for my armrest will go over the top of that. So I've got like a spot where I can put my phone and like keys and tools and stuff, and then all the stuff up the front here will be for like clothing and lighter stuff. So take the weight off the frame of a bike and put it into the actual fairing. So, like I said, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm very stressed out, but it looks like it's going to work out. So thumbs up to that. So see you next week.